Dear viewers, welcome to a new episode of Enforce Tech TV Season 2, live from Nuremberg here at Enforce Tech, which is also the 10th anniversary of the show. Together with me is Frank Woodcock from Zippermast. Frank, thanks for being here.
Moritz, thanks for having me at your booth.
How did you like the show so far?
As always, I love this show. We are here the fourth time for our small company.
All right.
It's always a big event. We love to be in between those big companies, small companies, as a small, medium enterprise, being innovative.
Yes.
It's very helpful for us to be here, having direct contact to our customers, but as well also to technological partners.
I believe there's a good energy on the show, and I kind of observed that there's a nice, healthy mix between, well, the big brands and small to medium-sized, very innovative companies, such as yours. This is why you're here today. But for those people who do not know about Zippermast, what are you guys all about?
Okay. So Zippermast GmbH is a small medium enterprise. We are located in southeast of Bavaria. We are a garrison town, so garrison town. We are embedded by the mountain infantry battalions 231 and 232.
Perfect place to be for your product.
Absolutely. Brings us close to the end user, so to say.
Yes.
By the way, for those which are big fans of The Sound of Music, this musical film, or the Trappers Family Singers,
exactly.
That's the location where the film has been done, Berchtesgaden. So we can be actually claiming that we are pretty worldwide recognized what our location is about.
How amazing is this? And you also mentioned that you're close to the troops, which actually is a nice transition to your product, because you guys are experts when we talk about ISR. What is ISR all about?
ISR is the abbreviation. It stands for Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance. These are actually one of the key forces you have in any kind of infantry and army, because they have to do the intelligence, of course, before you go somewhere. And this is where we really have our focus on. And this is when we started 2014. This was when Crimea was the annexion by the Russian forces of Crimea. Yes. And this is where we looked in actually what will be their future demands. And this is how we started our development.
So now it's 2023. We're talking about infantry support when it comes to surveillance, reconnaissance. We're also talking about high-value units who use that. But let's go and drive right into Zippermast, which is basically the next level of technology when it comes to mast technology. But please, give us the rundown. What can Zippermast actually do? What problems can it solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you give me the chance to give a little bit background information.
Feel free, it's your time.
That will make it easier for me to dive into the technology itself. So 2014, we spoke already about it. It was clear for us. We did an analysis about the upcoming and future needs for ISR troops in modern and future battlefields. And many people, us as well, were convinced that old traditional scenarios may become active again we had during the Cold War, which means I have big areas which I have to protect, yes, which I have to do surveillance over. And this is where we started what will be needed. So the conclusions came as typical basic conclusions.
Yes.
We did find out that we have a limited number of soldiers. We have a big area which we have to protect. Mm-hmm. So sensors will be a paramount system component for our forces. These sensors need to be easily integrated. There's a high demand for interoperability, yes, which means a sensor should be plug-and-play capable, regardless if you have a battle management system, if you have to radio any kind of information. Everything must be more or less like plug-and-play. And a mast system which will help you to deploy sensors out of your concealment will be also to be very flexible and modular, because how to transport things into the area where you become active is done by vehicles, by unmanned ground systems, can be by being airdropped. So at the end, there's a pretty high demand when it comes to the technology which will support our troops to do their duty in the field.
So this is where the new Zippermast comes into play. We're talking about recon, we're talking about surveillance, we're talking about limiting the time of high-value units in the field, while at the same time being able to observe a very big area. How did you guys actually manage to transfer or transform rather pole systems or mast systems, which are usually heavy, bulky, into, well, this quick, concise, and easy to use system? What's the secret?
Yes, what's the secret? Good question. So
Show me the magic.
I try to give you a good answer on that good question. No, so what we did is we did know that first of all our mast system needs to be smart. Sounds simple again. Smart means as an operator you are packed with tasks you have to fulfill, and you need to be released as much as possible by a certain kind of automatism which the mast has to supply.
Yes.
So the first thing is, how are we smart? Our mast system detects automatically potential tilt position. It detects if you have wind. It detects also the sensor, and by that it will calculate, as an example, the maximum extraction height.
Okay.
So you will avoid any hazardous situation for the mast system. It is smart as well, like let me explain on the example of being utilized for an antenna. In the past you extracted a mast as high as possible for your antenna.
Yes.
Now you only extract it as far as it is needed to not become a signature for your enemy. So it will measure the bandwidth, and once it is sufficient, so your troops all have a radio signal, it will automatically stop to extract. So these things are to be understood. That's a smart part of the system itself.
So the smart part of the system itself is actually giving the user less tasks to do, because he doesn't need to calculate whether how windy is it, how far do I need to go up there. That's the smart part. It does it basically all by itself.
Absolutely.
How did you guys manage to pack it so concisely? And I want to talk about the triangular shape on this.
Yes. So the triangular shape and the way how it ended up at this design is that we did know as well it needs to be mechanically super robust. Why that? Future battlefields will also be the Arctic, will be Europe. So this means we not only have to survive in, let's say, desert environment, as well underwater in the Arctic. So we thought very much about how the design has to look at the end. So, and this is how we ended up with this design, to be super compact. This mast, by the way, is the world's most compact mast system compared with the ratio when it is retracted and when it is fully extracted.
Would you mind giving us a show?
Yes, absolutely. So out of this 20 centimeters, we can generate 2.5 meters.
2.5 meters.
2.5 meters, which means a ratio of 10 times of the basic height we can generate as a mast height. And we have 3 stainless steel bands, which are coiled up. So that's principally different a design than normal telescopic masts are.
Exactly.
And those coiled up bands, they are driven by a lead screw. So a lead screw, by rotating, synchronously drives the 3 bands, and once they meet, they interlock like a zipper.
Like a zipper.
That's why it's called gas Zippermast. Another big or high advantage we have, the cable is conducted inside. Normal mast solutions mostly have cables guided outside, which is always very sensitive regarding wind and environmental impact. And once we are in the desired position, we don't need any power at all. We don't need brakes, and this is what I meant before by being remote controllable. Troops today, they don't like, and this is unfortunately proven in Ukraine, where our systems are already in service. There are many sensors, because being a high-value target, you don't want to be close at the sensor itself, especially if it's an emitting sensor.
You want to go there, set it up, and leave.
You want to be in a safety distance, absolutely correct. And this safety distance is ensured by either fiber optic cable or by a radio communication. And locally at the system you have your battery pack, and this will enable you to run your mission for a time, and you can be in concealment or somewhere where you are better protected.
So I understand that this is a great technology to put basically to stick your head out, but with high-end technology.
Correct.
We talked earlier, and high-end technology is a favorable thing to have, but we're also facing, well, I would say challenges when it comes to how do we convert older signals into new digital signals. How do you guys came up with a solution for this?
That's a great question as well. So as a small, medium enterprise, you shouldn't only focus on technology itself.
Because it's not everywhere available, right?
Correct, absolutely. And our main task is to support our end users, which are the forces. And a given fact is, of course, that forces have existing sensors which are reliable, which have been proven in combat, exactly. And they want to use them, of course. So these older sensors very often come with some proprietary interfaces, and they want them, of course, to work on this mast system as well. And this is why one of the smart content of our system is a so-called interface translation, which we do in our payload box. So regardless if you have an old sensor with old signals, they will be converted, they will be protected, and then the Zippermast is able to communicate those converted signals into modern combat management systems or others which are receiving those kind of information.
Because that's always the thing. New products, new technology is very desirable, but if it means that I have to change every component that I'm working on already, then getting it or making budget to finance it just become a bigger thing, because it's not only about the product, but it's also about everything else that I need to change out in order to work with it. Your product is a single source product. How does that ease the means of actually acquiring the product?
That's true, that's so true. So what we did, we spent many efforts in the last years together with the end users to investigate what kind of sensors are in service, what sensors shall be supported by the mast system. So meanwhile, there is even a naming saying mast supported sensors.
Okay.
And by that, because we invested a lot of time in our technology itself, and the combination of the unique selling point, so to say, or the protected solutions we have inside, this system qualifies as a single source. And this has a big advantage for our end user, for the procurement departments,
yes,
because it's much easier for them to do procurement. This system has been developed to fit the needs of the armies and the forces, and as there is no competitor on the market, there's a possibility for the procurement department to claim it or to understand it as a single source, and it makes procurement much easier, which is important these days. It's paramount these days.
Because procurement, it means bureaucracy.
Absolutely, which is fully understandable as a taxpayer.
Yes.
I enjoy that they think before they spend money.
Please do so.
But for my end user, of course, I want them to have technology in their hand when they need it.
When they need it.
And this is why we have found this way.
For those people watching who have now identified that they need it, where can they find Zippermast?
Well, as I said before, we are located in a beautiful environment. Visit us.
Come and visit.
No, but honestly, so we are present in social media as well as in the internet. If you key in Zippermast, then you will find us definitely, because we are the inventor of Zippermast.
Okay.
And we will be more than open to present you our technology. We have a close contact with our end users. Being a small company doesn't mean that we are not experienced. We are very experienced. And we love to talk with people which are system integrators, end users, you name it.
Mr. Frank Woodcock, CEO and father and founder of Zippermast. Thank you so much for taking the time to appear on our show. Also, thank you for watching this video. And if you are interested in more products and more brands, stay tuned, because we got a whole day coming up for you right now.